is here. She is in the back, and I want to
I'll come to the front so you don't have to turn around.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Sue is the Democratic candidate for governor. She has a very progressive vision for the future of Vermont and a history of getting things done. Already today, she has been all over Addison County meeting people and visiting businesses before coming here to Eastview. So as governor, she will make it more affordable for people to stay in Vermont by revitalizing our downtowns and villages, protecting our environment, expanding access to early years of tuition-free college for Vermont high school graduates. Sue will fight for common sense gun safety and ensure that women have the right to choose without exception. When elected, Sue will be the only second woman ever to be Vermont's governor. So with that, there you go.
Great. And I am carrying, can everyone hear me okay? Yes. Wonderful. And this is something that is, I believe, for the TV thing. So this, just so you know, I don't, this is for all of you, and I don't have a pocket. So I'm just going to hold on to it. I am so pleased to be here. My apologies for being late. I was just in downtown Bristol and doing everything from visiting the coffee shops to the yarn and yoga studio. And we got waylaid by a little girl who wanted to walk down the street with me and get her picture taken because she wants to be a woman governor too. I am going to just tell you a little bit about me, why I want to be your governor, and then answer some of your questions. And I don't know how long we have together, but I'd be happy to kind of get a little bit of one-on-one time as well. I hope to be able to do that. It has been an extraordinary journey running for governor. I'm going to tell you that the last 6 days I spent in the southern part of our state, which isn't my first time. I've been back and forth 6, 7 times, but this was what we called the barnstorming tour because we were at that time, as we began, 3 weeks from the election. So I went to 14 communities and had 25 visits in 5 days.
Oh, wow.
And people say, why aren't you looking tired? And I don't know, but I get energy from it. And I will tell you that my journey to this point really begins growing up in a family with 4 children. I was the youngest and the only girl. So I had 3 big brothers, and they liked to push me around a lot. They would tease me incessantly, practice their wrestling moves on me. I remember being pinned every time. But I learned early how to stand up for myself and to be a fighter. And I always had to compete. We were a very competitive lot, and growing up under the shadow of those boys, I would always want to be in the front, whether we were riding our bicycles, and I wanted to be in the lead. We were climbing trees, and I loved to climb trees. I always wanted to be to the top, which when you're little, you can do that. But now listen, I learned that I had to prove that anything the boys could do, a girl could do better. Oh boy, that was the best one yet. Thank you. My mom was a great mom and is still a great mom. She lives 1.5 miles from me in Waterbury Center. Growing up, she had her hands full with us. She had to be pretty strict with us. She was tough. We had chores and rules and clean fingernails at 6 o'clock dinner. And I know my mom had to be tough because she grew up in a challenging community, a working class neighborhood in St. Louis, Missouri. She was the daughter of a varnish maker, and her brother served in World War II. And when she graduated from high school, there really wasn't an opportunity for college or a career. And my mother found her way forward through a talent for figure skating. My mom joined the ice follies. She became a folly dolly, which is what they were called, and really discovered our country on the train where the folly dollies travel. I think I get so many gifts from my mom. First of all, an ongoing passion for figure skating and many other sports. But more importantly and fundamentally, a sense of optimism, a zest for adventure, and also a deep core belief that we do not have a level playing field. and that we all have an obligation to help address making the world a better place and trying to address economic and social inequality. My dad was a businessman. He helped run a family business, actually a candy business outside of Philadelphia called Minter's Candies, which meant that I grew up with lots of chocolate, but also really seeing what it means to run a business. Incredible hard work and perseverance. A commitment to the bottom line and being very frugal. And my dad often talked about his responsibility to the workforce, to make sure they had a job to go back to the next day. And I think I do carry some of my dad's attributes with me today. I am so lucky in my life to really have found the love of my life in college. David Goodman, my husband, and I came to Vermont 25 years ago. We took a chance on a one-year opportunity. I had a fellowship to work for an environmental organization, and he was writing a book about backcountry skiing in New England, a passion we still share. Well, for us, 1 year immediately turned into a lifetime, or it seems like it was immediate. We chose to live in Vermont because we believe it is the best place to raise a family. And for us, it was about our strong public schools, our rich sense of community and commitment to one another, and our vibrant democracy. And I've really thrown my life into my family, my community, and public service. I'm a proud working mother. I will say the only working mom in the race. Have two wonderful children who have gone to our public schools. I was a big community volunteer in Waterbury, volunteering in our schools, serving on our local planning commission, our economic development committee, and then was elected to serve in the legislature for 6 years until I was asked to run the transportation agency, first as deputy and then as secretary. So I have been running the second largest agency of state government, managing a workforce of 1,300 people, a very diverse workforce, and I'm proud of the way in which we increased diversity in our transportation agency. Under my leadership, the number of women in our maintenance workforce doubled. I'm also proud we had a $600 million budget to balance, so I know a thing or two about balancing budgets and running government and making it function and efficiently. But I'm most proud, really, of the work we did in 2011 when over 500 miles of road were damaged overnight by terrific flooding, Tropical Storm Irene. And I don't know how many of you were here at that time, but it was extraordinary, and it was our job. Really, we had 13 communities totally cut off because of all the infrastructure damage. And it was our job to mobilize quickly, to be innovative, to partner, and to do what really few people thought possible, which was to reconnect our state in less than 4 months. And I will tell you, the day that we actually opened up the last mile of closed road, I remember it well. It was Route 107, and it was December 31st. And that was the day that the governor asked me to become the Irene Recovery Officer. So moving from a focus on fixing roads and bridges to people. 3,500 homes damaged, 20,000 acres of farmland, businesses boarded, a whole communities, my own community of Waterbury was really turned upside down. And it was an extraordinary experience. Certainly took me all around this state, working with communities, working with homeowners, working with towns, and really thinking about how we rebuild for the future. And I will say it was a transformational experience for me personally, and I think for our state as a whole. And I know that it's given me the seeds of wanting to continue my leadership of this wonderful state. Now, I'm a leader who works to bring people together and to get things done. And that's what I want to do to lead our state forward. We're not dealing right now with a natural disaster, but we have many, many challenges and some crises that we face as a state. And I know really that we have too many Vermonters struggling just to make their ends meet. And I'll mention women in particular. 43% of women in Vermont who work full-time still can't make their basic needs met. So we need to change the story. And as your governor, I'm going to focus on 3 key goals. First, growing the economy and economic opportunity. And I have an economic development plan based on 2 programs. One is called Invest Vermont, the other Innovate Vermont. Investing in our downtowns and our villages, places like Middlebury and Bristol, but making sure we are investing the infrastructure and the affordable housing for the future so we can create livable wage jobs. I'm also, through innovation, going to look at key sectors where we need innovation. My second goal is really about standing up for working families, increasing the minimum wage, expanding paid medical and family leave, but also focusing on education. Because I believe that education is the lever of change and opportunity. We need to focus on early childhood education. Because right now in Vermont, over 40% of our children are coming to kindergarten unready to learn. And when you start from behind, you can't catch up. We also need to focus on after high school, because in Vermont we do an excellent job getting our young people to graduate from high school, second highest high school graduation rates in the country. But when it comes to continuing beyond high school, we are down near the bottom of the country. And that, I believe, is our opportunity gap, because 4 out of 10 high school students graduating from high school are not continuing their education. And 2/3 of the jobs of the 21st century require education or training beyond high school. So what is happening is we have more and more people going into generational poverty. And poverty is growing throughout this country and here in Vermont. And I hear it every time I'm talking to social service providers, teachers, healthcare providers. It's an extraordinary challenge, and I am committed to turning that lever by providing 2 years tuition-free education at the Community College of Vermont or Vermont Technical College, matching students with mentors, making sure they have a champion and career opportunities at the end. Why? We're going to have apprenticeships, internships, certifications with a job at the end. For me, this is about growing the economy, because everywhere I go, every business, large and small, that I talk to, their biggest challenge is that they can't find qualified workers. And now we have 4 out of 10 kids not moving in the direction of becoming that future workforce. So that, for me, is my Vermont Promise program, my commitment to both grow the economy and break the generational cycle of poverty. My third goal is about becoming and committing myself as an environmental steward of the future. And I will be fighting for clean water, clean drinking water. I've been to Bennington 4 times since the discovery of toxic chemicals, PFOA, in people's wells. 200 families. I met with a woman 2 nights ago in Bennington telling me what it's like to know that the water that she drinks and that she gave her children has been poisoned. And now we need to make sure they are never left behind and that we get clean water and build the infrastructure, not just in Bennington, but wherever we have contaminated water. And we must make sure our beautiful Lake Champlain does not die from the fact that we are really seeing terrible algae blooms and the inability to use that lake and the economy that it depends on it. But I will also stand tall for what I think is the issue of our generation, and it's called global climate change. We saw what it looks like in Irene to have horrific storms, and that's predicted to increase. After Irene, I was privileged to serve on President Obama's Task Force on Climate Preparedness and Resilience, working with leaders across this country at what climate disruption and the weathers that people are having extreme drought in California, 4 years of historic drought. The entire agricultural industry under threat. And in Colorado, severe forest fires followed by flooding. I got asked to go and help work on the flooding after they had terrific flooding in 2013. We led a team to help. And on the East Coast, we have flooding, we have storm surge, and sea level rise. So I am committed to addressing these challenges. I will tell you, there are many, many things that we face as a state, as a community, and I am always reminded of what we are capable of.